grow exponentially there too as well.
But let's say it didn't grow. Even if it didn't grow in year one, you outfit all these guys with $60,000 in year one. The next 4 years, you're able to put away 4 times 60, $240,000 is fund balance. If you choose not to spend it for that very reason, so that gives you that cushion. It can be equipment to outfit them, but it can also help you in those off years when you're not bringing folks in.
Like when Chief Wood said that as it grows, so you hire them all in year one, you equip them. Year two, sales tax is the same. You pay for the same expenses, but let's say year 3, 4, and 5 get a tremendous growth, and the 700,000 a quarter penny is now $1 million. Can you take the other 300,000 and now hire more public safety at that point?
That's exactly what it's for.
Yeah.
So as we grow, we continue to build that base to grow more police and fire.
Right.
And that's how you start growth, and that's why
What?
Wasso did that, was to grow.
Making fun of me?
Huh.
You making fun of me?
No, we have 3 guys there too. Let's not forget about the 3 guys.
Well, no, I just said
That's
public
street.
safety. I said public safety.
Yeah.
Are
So
the street guys were they under the public safety as well? Will they kind of?
They are under that.
Are they?
That includes hiring
2
street,
of them. Yeah.
2 guys. Yeah.
So there could be any mixture in there then of anybody. So if anybody who's in that public safety, you could subtract a cop here or a fireman here and add a public safety and add a street person or vice versa. So it's anything in that mixture.
Right.
Whatever the council decides on or city manager decides
Well,
on.
you do the budget, so your appropriation certainly would control it, but it's ultimately your call. Yeah.
Or it'd be city manager.
Yeah. Within the funds that you provide the city manager to use.
Since we're so far behind on firemen and policemen, I know, wouldn't it be intelligent just to make sure for a few years we lock it in at that percentage so we know that we are taking care of them, we're adding the guys that we need in those areas?
Yeah, this would lock that 2,500 in. A vote would say.
But I don't mean that.
Oh, you mean those
percentage
positions?
of the firemen and policemen that we have. Because right now that's one of the areas that we're.
What do you mean? I'm not quite sure.
Well, like
Instead
like
of
you were
getting
saying,
4
we could
street
use
guys.
it. We could use it for firemen and policemen, or we can use it for street guys. And what I'm saying is, can we make sure we keep on track where we are, at least for a few years, till we know we've got our base built up the way we need it.
Right. Yeah. This would
I don't
just
know if
fund
we- I don't know
these.
if legally, because it's still going to be up to the city manager every year, correct?
Right.
I mean, we could vote him out, obviously, and say, no, we don't want to do that, and vote him out, but it would be up to what he would, whoever the manager is to.
Or you can go back to, in Yukon, basically, we said so much went to police, so much went to fire, so much went to public works.
See, that's what I'm.
Or streets, remember, streets
Yeah.
does not fall under public works.
Well,
Public works
basically,
is water and sewer.
So.
But I think historically, Harold, when it's between police, fire, and streets, it's always police and fire.
Yeah, yeah, you're the one that.
Streets,
Well,
we
no,
don't get it, and I've actually
in all
lost the
reality-
position
And
because.
I have, I mean,
Yeah.
I have as much heart for them as
Yeah.
anybody, and I know it's hard.
But, and I think that it's almost that there's a built-in, if you look at it,
But-
it does have, it kind of has a built-in percentage already. Because as we grow, the way it's done right now, how many firefighters does he have and how many?
Well, I think you look at the very last line, 82% public safety, 18% street and drainage. So if you want to lock that percentage in, that could be done. Pat, I think you'd have to do a little.
I'd have to figure out how to put that in ordinance, and then you would not ever be able to change it.
Without a vote of the people.
I
Without a vote
don't,
of the people.
I don't know that I like that. I think that every year the council should make the decision on the needs of that year. During that budget, the council's gonna
Yeah, I
have
agree with
control
you.
of that.
I
Maybe
mean,
police are where it needs to be. Maybe crime is increasing and the police is where it really needs to be, rather than the fire or streets. Or maybe the
We can come back
streets
and
need it
talk,
more.
we can come back and talk to you all as far as what our needs are.
I think you need that flexibility in there too.
Yeah.
But she's right, you guys are always gonna be the ones that show
Historically,
that.
historically we don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, because actually, there a lot of people have talked about it, but the way they're staffed right now is back, what, in the 80s they
Oh
were
yeah, we don't
staffed,
have
or-
enough. And
Yeah.
then I'll talk about it when it's my turn,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Problem is, it's easy for people to get behind police and fire and everyone has a negative I mean, like we were talking about at dinner, you know, people griping about fixing the street that they've all griped about that they want fixed.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
wait, it's gotta get fixed. What do you think we're gonna do, come down at night and mystically, magically do it overnight and it's gonna be all done?
They're the quiet heroes.
Yeah, but they all wanna complain about, oh, the street guys don't do anything, because they've all seen us leaning on shovels, not just our, I mean, just in general. Everybody's seeing a street crew somewhere out there leaning on a shovel, and that's what people see when they're stuck in traffic. There's a guy leaning on a shovel, so that's their perception, is the street guys leaning on the shovel.
Well, that's because most of them haven't seen them down in a hole digging that 10-foot hole.
Right. That's just the perception people
You
have.
know, and the thing is, a lot of people don't realize too, until the water stops running or the sewer backs up in your house, a lot of people don't even recognize
No.
what they do. You know,
No.
Let's go to police.
Well, I think, and also I think from the fire side, we see an increase in accidents. So they also have an increase because they roll on our accidents with us. So when we see, I know that's one area that you all have seen an increase.
It's gonna get worse down that damn corridor when that Costco goes in.
Yeah, it's, we're gonna see a lot of it in a couple different areas.
Before he gets started, I wanna ask
Sure.
one
Yep.
question. This is not for wages, right?
Isn't it? Well, it's for hiring and it's employing personnel.
Okay.
It-
So
it-
as
Is that how it's gonna be
wages,
written up?
so collective bargaining could affect
Well, I think
this as well.
the way it's structured is to hire additional personnel. It does not, it's not flexible enough to say that you don't have to hire personnel and you can give everybody a raise. No, it's for additional personnel. So yeah, it's for the salaries of employees above the threshold that you have right now. And, you know, certainly their salaries will go up probably over the years.
Sure.
That's the way it goes, but only for those employees above it can this be used for that. It's not to increase wages.
So I mean, a
to bring
collective
the
bargaining.
personnel on, we need to.
Right.
So the
So
collective
how's that-
bargaining wouldn't come in and take
Let's
this
take that
tax.
money and just give everybody a raise. No.
You can't do that. Okay, that's what I want to be real clear.
Yeah, but how would that work? Okay, so let's say that you've got 10 people, 10 officers, fire, whatever, 10 public people, all right? And then when you hire, let's say 5 out of this fund. All right, so the next year, when it's time for raises, where do those raises come from? Does it come out of this fund for those 5? And then the other 10 comes out of the general? Or does all 15 of them, does it come out of the general? How would that work?
You may have to take money in the general to increase that additional people's salaries, but I'm not
So
sure.
all 15 could come from the general,
Okay.
but not all 15 could come out of this.
But theoretically,
Now,
could the 5 get their raise out of the, let's say that this fund is generating money like crazy.
Well, it's gonna be controlled by a collective bargaining agreement, so the answer is probably no on that,
Okay.
unless they agree to give those special ones a raise, but, so I don't think that'll happen.
Well, I'm just saying, from an accounting standpoint, when it's like, okay, well, these 10 come out of the general fund, you know, we've done a 5% raise across the board. But these 10 comes out of the general fund, but these 5 over here is gonna come out of that fund. It's gonna come against that fund.
I think you're gonna find the money somewhere to pay those, and you're certainly for those individuals above this threshold.
Would it be I guess my question, would it be prohibited that those 5 get their raises from that fund?
I don't think so.
No.
No, provided you had money in there. You've already added these additional
You added
employees.
those 5 through the fund.
So you've got those additional
So would it be
employees.
prohibited that their raises came from the fund?
Prohibited, no.
By the
I think that
statute.
it could, but, I just don't think it's gonna happen. I'm having trouble grasping it.
Well, I'm not, I can
The
see.
bottom line is,
If we're having,
Well, this fund is not set up to say a fixed amount. Okay, if you
Yeah.
look at the chart. It says, okay, let's look at an example. A communications officer. Okay, so they come in at what's listed here. Let's just put at a $50,000 rate. Now, if they get a 5% raise the next year, I don't think this thing says you can only take 50,000. Anything above 50,000 to come from somewhere else.
right,
It could, but it's not restricted.
That's my-
You-
that's my-
You've got those
that's my
people
question.
in here. You've got those people in
That's
there.
my question. So when it goes to 50, what is that, 55, 75, 57,000, when it goes to 57,000, does that come out of this fund? Doesn't come out of the general fund, but their new their new salary comes out of this fund, or this line item.
It could.
Yes,
It
it
could.
could.
Yeah, that's the way I
But,
would
but
look at
remember,
it.
That'll eat into that fund,
Right.
and that's what
but it's not
That's
like
what I'm getting at.
these will have special, these employees will have special.
Well, or could they? Because
benefits
that's what I'm getting at. Could someone come in there and say, well, that fund's got, let's say it build up to $500,000, and
You
they're like,
can't
well,
do that because it has to be negotiated as pursuant to collective bargaining agreement. You can't single out an employee to give more money to them. The
because
agreement's gonna level
because
that
his fund is
field.
higher than everybody else.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get at. It's like, well, our fund is, it's like we're trust fund babies, so we got, we got all the money in the world over here.
I think we should view it as a supplement to the general fund, which is only allocated for this use.
Yeah.
I don't think it separates a group into this group if they're hired here
Right.
or there. They're still one group. They still operate under the general fund, but that quarter penny is supplementing those areas only in order to level the whole thing.
Right, I just want to make sure that we're not going to get into something like that where you
But
have a big
you-
fund sitting over here.
You could have a fund that's built up that the collective bargaining could go, well, there's
Yeah.
$500,000 over there, so we all want a raise.
Exactly.
And that's what would happen possibly,
I
but
think I tell you that has to be for now a new employee, whether it's police, fire, or
I think if you
street.
start getting money, you have to either, you look at the equipment, you look at, do we need more police and fire? Because the whole point is to grow that.
And I think it'll be self-regulated. If you bring these employees in, and the sales tax does begin to grow, and their pay rate grows, the only way this is if it outstrips that rate of growth. So I mean, there's not an unlimited amount of pay raise, so you hope that sales tax does this, so that it goes high enough you can hire that next person, because you're not changing their pay scale. I mean, everybody would get a comparable raise, so their raise coming out of this doesn't necessarily, if this fund keeps building up, at some point you pick somebody else up because the sales tax is going faster, which is what we would hope, faster than what it is, so that you can add another employee, not siphon it off and take it somewhere else. So they're going to keep, their pay rate's going to go, what you hope is that their rate of pay is going like this and sales tax goes like this, so then you can add another employee. If they go like this, you can't add anybody.
And also, I think the fact of it is, if you have a savings in that account, that's one-time dollars. So it's not gonna be able to sustain that.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at, you're gonna be at $500,000 every year, it's not gonna have that $500,000. That may be like what you're talking about, that $60,000, we can use it for 2 or 3 years and to at least get a cushion in there to offset some of those things. So it probably wouldn't, if they draw it all out, where's the rest of it gonna come from?
And
So
then-
that's what we have to look at, especially during negotiations. Because it's only a one-time, it'd be only one-time dollars. And it would not be able to sustain that amount throughout the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years.
I guess if it builds up like Dennis is saying and it's
As long
not
as it
needed
can't get-
anymore, then you can just stop the tax.
As long
at
as it
that
can't
point.
get stuck into the raises, into the
Right.
bargaining agreements. That's what I mean. I wouldn't want to see it big, because then you could theoretically never see more people added.
Exactly.
As it's added, I mean, if they start dipping in there and sucking all that out for raises, now that fund's just gone basically.
And that's why the word additional is in there. Additional personnel. It's not for employing personnel, police, fire personnel. It's for over the current base number of employees. Take that word out of the ballot.
Is that
And
the way
yeah,
it's
you
gonna
could
be
do
written?
it
That's
for
why
what you
you're gonna
want.
write it up?
That's the way it's written
Okay.
right now.
Great.
I'm glad we got into that, yeah.
The first one, actually, if you look at the top, is June 30th. This is kind of where we were at the end of last fiscal year. There's 2 positions down here in red in dispatch and 1 in officers. Those are the 3 positions we talked about that were unfunded that we lost a few years back. In answer to your question, I think if we lay people off, we didn't lay these people off. Actually, we did it we just didn't hire anybody. So we actually didn't lay anybody off. When we lost people, we just did not hire them back. So we've had those positions, and so we've actually been having less people since I guess 08, 09, whenever we lost those positions. The problem that we've had, and especially it shows we've got 25 sworn positions now. We had an SRO, and you have to understand those SROs also, 82% is paid by the school. We pay 18%, is that correct, Betty? So those 3 positions are pretty much help funded from the school, so that really helps us from that standpoint. But this is where we were. We filled one officer's position. He was in Cleat. And I know you guys, it takes a long time by the time they go through Cleat, the FTO program. We're looking at almost a year time by the time those officers get on the street. The next one, as of January 16, 2016, this is where we are, or will be. We have the 2 dispatch positions that were not funded. They've been funded this year. Also, the officer was funded. And also, this year in January, we get a new officer's position. So that's where we are as far as what the budget that you all approved. And that's what we're working on at that point. If we go into 17, this is what we're looking at as far as what the budget was approved, because you all looked at 2 years of budgets. We will have another officer's position coming in July of that next fiscal year, 16-17. If we go to the last one, if we basically get the sales tax, then we would look at the new records position, a new dispatch position, the officer's position, and I've written up here a detective position, but that would probably go to SRO. Also, we're looking at right now, we've got a grant laid out for SRO position through the federal government. So we don't know, we won't know until probably the end of January or end of September whether or not they'll be funded. If that's funded, then basically they'll be funded for 3 years, so that would help us from that standpoint, help us in the school also. But you can see basically how it really helps us. In the records position alone, and when I explained to you all when we had our meeting before, the records position is really is a required position. We have to maintain a position. We have to be able to schedule hours to have someone there so the public can come in and get records. Right now, we're having a hard time maintaining that, and the reason why, because we're having to pull that position over to dispatch. Our dispatchers do a lot of things. I mean, they dispatch for the police, they dispatch for the fire. They're getting more and more calls. So it's very difficult when we got a pursuit going on and the fire guys are going out on house fire. We got one dispatcher that's basically trying to maintain both the pursuit and the house fire. So those are the issues that we've got. Also, they got to go back and check on the prisoners. So there's a lot of things that they do, and that's why when we look at these positions, I know we talked about a few years ago, why the fire department pay half and we pay half for the dispatchers. It really doesn't make any difference where they're going to come out. It comes out of the budget. Bottom line, it comes out of the budget. We basically bring them in, we train them, we do everything from that standpoint. This would give us plenty of people on the street. Right now we're having a hard time. The last 3 years, as Betty knows, out of 24, 25 people, we've been based down 4 and 5 people for the last 2 or 3 years. We're finally trying to get people in and get some people hired. One of our officers that we had, he's been gone for 3 years on workman's comp, and we're finally getting that, I think, rectified through workman's comp. So we just had a sergeant that passed away. So not only do we lose a sergeant with a number of years of experience, we lost a position. So we're working on getting that position back in. But I think with this sales tax, this will put us in a great position. The number of calls that we continue to get are on the rise. I think one of the biggest questions I've got is from our community. How come we don't have anybody in our neighborhoods? We just don't have people to put them in the neighborhoods because we're going from call to call to call. I think right now with the people putting in a dispatch and having people in a dispatch, we don't have to have officers come in to help them. We don't have to have officers come in and take people off the street. You see what I'm saying? We all work together as far as when you're looking at records and dispatch and officers. And when we look at our SROs over there, they're in the school. You know, from August till the end of May, they're in school. So what we do, we pull those guys out and help them work the streets during that period of time. Because some of our guys right now, they've got too many hours of vacation. They can't even take vacations right now. And that's the problem that we've had, especially with calls for service and things of that nature. So I think with the sales tax, that'll put us really in a great position. It'll put us in a great position not only from where we are, but the next couple of years for sure, especially as we see the growth. With the apartment complex coming in, we see, at QT, we're gonna see more traffic coming up there. Dennis, you're talking about accidents. That whole corridor, basically, we're gonna see more accidents. And I think, we're getting, Jared working with ODOT, probably trying to get that, intersection, or they're 136 right there, maybe trying to get another lane in there. That'll help us, but, we're gonna continue to see on 121st Memorial, as it continues to build up, the housing and things going in. Seven Lakes, they've expanded, they've got so many houses going on there. If you look on Harvard, we've got another addition coming up. They've got one on the east side that's already planned. We see a lot of property right now that's gonna be developed in the next 2 or 3 years, but it's gonna take some time. But I think this will give us the personnel we need to answer calls for service-based alarms, things of that nature. It'll put us in great position.
You guys have any questions? We want to take a short break. Let's take a short break.
Take a short break.
And then come back and
Smoke break.
let Ike finish up and answer any questions.
Unless there are any
That button.
questions?
Okay.
No.
Right there, push.
Push it?
Yeah.